Hello everybody and welcome to the stream. Hope you're all having a good day so far, and I hope it will be even better from here on. Today we are doing a sponsored stream which has lovingly been brought to us by BookWalker. If you don't know who BookWalker are, they're an amazing company who publish novels online for people to read, sometimes chapter by chapter, sometimes volume by volume. If you look in the link in the description, you can find links not only to BookWalker themselves, but also to a few other things that are going on. They've been nice enough to sponsor this stream, and I was really excited about it. Because if you don't know, I'm actually a big fan of BookWalker. I've used them a few times in the past, and they have some of my favorite novel series available on their website. One of the ones that I'm really hoping to get into soon, because I loved the anime, was Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. I love that story so much, and I'm so excited to get into it. This is Grimgar of Fantasy of Ash. Today we are going to be reading Der Werwolf, the Annals of Veight, which I had to look up how to make sure how I knew how to pronounce exactly. Well, there's a ton of great series on. Some of them are on sale because right now it is their 7th year anniversary, as well as the 6th year anniversary of the J Novel Club. So today we get the chance to examine one of their works, read through it as far as we feel like, and we have chosen Der Werwolf, the Annals of Veight. So I'm very excited about this. I've always wanted to be able to do story time streams on this channel where I just get to read, and in this case it's one where I don't actually have to write anything first, so I can just read. It's relaxed, it's chill. I get to explore the story for the first time with you guys, and that's so incredible to me, who just loves to read novels. So this is going to be fun, and this one looks really cool. The image on the front really drew me in immediately. Giant werewolf, beautiful woman. The storyline itself seems interesting. Apparently he's a werewolf mage who is acting as some high position in the Demon King's army and having to look after a city full of humans and demons. Other than the general synopsis and this image, I know nothing about the series so far. So I'm very excited. At the end of this stream, we're going to be talking about a special campaign that they're doing for their 7th year anniversary and J Novel Club's 6th year anniversary. So stay tuned for that. But in general, down in the description, you'll find a link to their website, which will also have a little way for you to click on my code. If you use code Fulgur, all in undercaps, not caps, all in small letters, you'll get 600 yen off your first purchase. I saw a lot of people sharing the info that also means that you can use that to get the first volume, the entire first volume of Der Werwolf, the Annals of Veight, essentially for free because it costs less than 600 Japanese yen. No cap, exactly. No cap. But the link to that is in the description, and I'm just very excited to get into this and read this and see what kind of story this is. And yeah, even after this, I'm going to be using J Novel quite a bit. It's nice. J Novel and BookWalker. Oh man, it's nice to be able to just grab things online and read them on whatever device you have. So with that said, are you guys ready to jump into this novel? I get to do a proper story time. I'm so excited. I hope we'll get quite a bit into this. And they've given me the whole first volume for free, so I get to read this whenever I want to fully. And you can read along with us, like I said. If you use the code, you'll be able to get this one essentially for free, or anything else you want to jump into from BookWalker's entire listing. Der Werwolf, the Annals of Veight. Oh, I love this as well. I love how they've kept all the illustrations in. So we're going to change this music as well, because this doesn't feel very fitting. We're going to switch over to this. Seems a better mix, and we'll keep it nice and low so it doesn't affect the story too much. The characters all look cool. I'm pretty sure this is Veight, the werewolf protagonist, and I don't know anyone else yet. So we're going to discover them. Beautiful art. More beautiful art. Him in his werewolf form. I believe again this is Veight. No idea who anyone else is. We can't see your mouse. Oh crap. You know what? That's fine. You don't have to. Just a general. Okay. The guy with the brown the brown cloak and trousers and like the black chest guard and the dark bluish hair. There you go. My bad. I didn't realize you couldn't see my mouse, but it works. And you know a story's got to be good when they give you a fantasy setting and they immediately give you a map of the session. You know that means that they've thought it out really well, and there's going to be some very interesting crap going on. So let's go. The one in the middle? Exactly. Chapter 1. I don't remember much about my past life, but I'm also not that interested in learning about it. My name is Veight. I know it's hard to pronounce, but I still wish people would at least try to say it right. And right now, I serve the Demon Lord. Commander Veight, our troops have successfully infiltrated the city. Understood. There's no need to wait for my orders. Once the advance party gives the signal, charge. Yes, sir! Werewolf. A word that refers to a half-human, half-wolf demon. In my human form, I look pretty much like I used to in my old life. An unassuming, plain guy. But transformed, I truly do look like a monster. I imagine most people find my jet black wolf form to be terrifying, but personally I think it looks cool. If anything, I'd say I hit the reincarnation jackpot. At present, I serve as a commander of the Demon Lord's forces, vice commander of the Demon Lord's 3rd Regiment. That's my current title. I just realized I should use this. It sounds impressive, but regiments aren't very big. And there's other vice commanders aside from me. Right now, my command consists of 56 werewolves and 200 canine combat engineers. My commander loaned to me for this operation. Our target is a remote trading city. Its name was Ryunheit, and it had a modest population of 3,000 along with a walled perimeter. From within my position inside the forest, I looked down at the city we would soon attack. As I waited, a messenger ran up to me and delivered a report. The enemy possesses roughly 200 men. They're currently spread out throughout the city on patrol. You're certain of this? The young boy with the face of a beagle gave me a confused look. That's the report I was given from the werewolf team that infiltrated the city, sir. I wouldn't know how accurate it is. Yeah, I suppose not. This poor kid, oh my god. Just immediately being called out like that, that's so good. Yeah, I'm going to try to do voices. We'll see how it goes throughout this stream. But yeah, I'm loving this already. Our mission this time was not to annihilate the city, but to occupy it. I strode forward and gave orders to my messenger squad. Tell all canine squads to advance. Stick to the plan. Yes, sir! They ran off on their respective squads while I turned towards the city and began walking forward. Ryunheit was a city that specialized in trade, so its front gates were larger than most to accommodate caravans. That being said, it wasn't a very impressive gate. The walls too were not very high. In fact, they were made mostly of hardened mud with the occasional stone or wooden bulwark. It was a wall meant to deter beasts and bandits, not withstand a siege. Do they really feel safe with just that? A few guards watched over the main gate as a steady stream of traders and pilgrims trickled through. Most were led inside the city without question. Guess they'll let me in without a fuss too. At the moment, I looked like an ordinary young man with black hair. Contrary to my expectations, however, the guard lowered his spear as I approached the gate. He wore a simple helmet and breastplate and didn't seem particularly strong. You there, Ho! I don't recognize you. I came to a stop and pulled a bird-shaped whistle out of the sack on my back. I came here to deliver an order of toy whistles to one of my clients, the Betun traders. I see. The guard took the whistle and blew lightly into it. Out came a shrill tone like whistles anywhere would. Fun to play with, right? I guess. The guard awkwardly returned my smile and passed the whistle back to me. All right, you can pass. My thanks. Just then, a disturbance occurred further down the road. Monsters are coming! Help! A group of merchants were running for the gates, all of their wares held in their hands. The guards sprang into motion, running forward to surround the merchants. What kind of monsters? Canines! Monsters with dog faces! They're armed to the teeth! One of the traders stammered, pale-faced. There's hundreds of them! Hurry up and get rid of them for us! The guards exchanged glances and got to work. Ring the bell! 3 times! Someone inform HQ. Send messages to the other gates as well. Close the gates. Everyone inside! Panic engulfed the people. Travelers dithered back and forth while citizens scooped up their children and ran for safety. On the other hand, the soldiers worked as a cohesive unit. It was obvious they were well trained. Not only that, they had excellent morale. Meanwhile, I squeezed my way into the city along with the fleeing crowd. Once I was inside, I found a relatively secluded corner, pulled out one of my whistles, and blew it with all my might. This one made no sound. No sound that could be picked up by human ears. At any rate, sorry. Us werewolves heard the dog whistle loud and clear. It was time to begin the next step of our plan. In order to not appear suspicious, I headed to the city's center along with the rest of the citizens. That was also where the Viceroy's mansion happened to be. Before long, the inside of the city was engulfed in chaos as well. The monsters are here! There's werewolves too! It seemed my werewolf unit that had infiltrated the city earlier had begun to work. The streets were in turmoil, but the city garrison was busy with the enemies outside and could do nothing to help. Even if they could, they didn't have enough information to act. Conflicting reports of canines outside the gates and werewolves inside had left the army confused and disoriented. There's canines inside too! Don't worry, the army's pushing them back! Alright then. Their forces truly were in complete disarray. Still, I wish they'd be able to tell the difference between cute-looking canines and fearsome werewolves. We're nothing like dogs. Everything appeared to be going according to a plan. What? That's my bad. And none of the complications I'd been worried about cropped up, which meant it was time for me to join the fray. I took a deep breath and unleashed my inner beast, beginning my transformation. Oh! I don't think I'll ever get tired of how awesome that feels. I felt power surge through me. It brought along a rush of euphoria that left me feeling like a giddy little kid. Of course, the people around me weren't nearly as excited about my transformation. It's a monster! Excuse me? I'm no monster. I'm a demon. People often mistake us for monsters, but werewolves possess intelligence and culture. We're a proper race. I mean, come on. Humans are mammals just like horses and wolves, but no one goes around screaming, "Oh my god, it's a mammal," when they see a person. So yeah, we technically fall under the monster category, but I'd prefer it if people called us demons. As I'm sure you can tell, this is a pet peeve of mine. Sir, there's a wolf monster here! I said I was a demon, not a monster. Freaking... I love this dude already. He's about to destroy all these people, and he's just like, "Brah, demon, not monster. How dare you? Get it right. I'm about to devour you, but I'm going to do so of my own free will. I am choosing to do it." God, I love him. Sorry. I smiled tiredly as I watched the people flee before me. Since I had a wolf's head at the moment, I don't doubt everybody saw it as a feral grin, not an exhausted smile. Don't worry, I don't plan on eating any of you. It's no good. No one's listening. It seems I'd caused a bigger panic than I'd intended. People bowed over entire market stalls in the haste to escape. In the span of a few seconds, the street had become empty. Everyone had fled into nearby buildings or narrow back alleys. Thanks to my superior sense of hearing and smell, I was easily able to tell where they were hiding. I know I look scary, but the fact that people are this terrified of me still kind of hurts. I used to be a human too, you know. Besides, I thought my transformation was kind of cool, like the ones superheroes have in movies. Well. I heaved a weary sigh and kicked off the cobblestone ground. My leap propelled me a good 3 stories into the air. From this height, I was able to get a good view of the whole city. As planned, my new werewolf head was had the Viceroy's manor surrounded. I read that wrong. As planned, my werewolf squad had the Viceroy's manor surrounded. The few guards protecting the manor had already been mauled beyond recognition. I told them to avoid killing as much as possible. Oh well. Once the werewolf got going, it was hard for them to hold back. I ran across a series of rooftops and jumped down in front of the manor. Unfortunately, that was the same time a squad of reinforcements happened to show up as well. Protect the Viceroy! Charge! The 5 soldiers drew their weapons and charged. I sent the first of them flying with a back kick, then turned around and started attacking in earnest. I shattered one soldier's sword with my bare arms, then jabbed his breastplate with my knuckles. I couldn't use my claws or I'd kill him. God! Crap. Did I overdo it again? Holding back's harder than I thought. I dispatched the other 3 with low kicks, too afraid to use my arms against them. As it was, even my weak kicks shattered the soldiers' legs, but at least that was something I could fix with magic later. In the blink of an eye, all 5 of the soldiers were lying defeated on the ground. "I'll heal you later, so just sleep there for now," I said as I jumped up to the manor's 2nd-story window. Compared to the glass in my old world, the glass here was far more crude. Not only was the window's thickness uneven, it was filled with translucent bubbles that made it difficult to see through. Still, a pane of glass like this would have cost about a month's income for a rich noble here. I smashed it without hesitation and strode into the Viceroy's manor. The room I'd broken into was the Viceroy's own office. I'd examined the building's blueprints before, and as I'd expected, the Viceroy was here. "Who are you?" I found myself being glared at by a woman in her early 20s. Oh, I did the wrong voice for that one. My bad. She was wearing a male officer's uniform, however, and a saber hung from her waist. She cut a rather gallant and dashing figure in the uniform. It was clear she was used to wearing men's clothes. I guessed that she normally wore them about work. Well, I guess now's not the time to be thinking about that. A quick glance around the room told me there were no guards. Neither my nose nor my ears picked up traces of anyone else in the room. My werewolves had the outside of the manor surrounded. I bowed politely to the Viceroy, doing my best not to antagonize her. Oh god, this is werewolf voice. I shouldn't have done this. "I am Veight, Vice Commander of the Demon Lord's 3rd Regiment. You would be Viceroy Iria, correct?" "None other." Pale-faced, Iria nevertheless put up a brave front as she nodded. Unfortunately, she couldn't hide the trembling in her voice. She may not have had the fortitude of an emperor, but she would still make a fine general. A better one than me, that's for sure. Out of respect for her courage, I tried to be as non-threatening as possible. "My forces have captured your city. Further resistance would be meaningless. I advise you to surrender." "I will not!" Iria clenched her fists as she shouted. Why was it that people in power inevitably all had problems listening to other people? "Reunite is an important linchpin of our alliance. I will not allow it to fall into demon hands." Looks like I'm going to have to get a little violent, or we won't get anywhere. "Then die!" I snarled, baring my fangs. As expected, the Viceroy shrunk back in fear. Her trembling was understandable. She was up against a werewolf after all. Our claws could rend plate armor, and our legs could carry us faster than a galloping horse. A tiny girl such as herself had no chance against me. I took a step forward and put even more pressure on her. "I will at least give you the honor of a noble death befitting of your station. Draw your sword." Aria brought a trembling hand to her waist, but because of her fear, she couldn't even get a good grip on the weapon. She clearly wasn't used to fighting. "I am the Viceroy of Unite, Maki." In her confusion, she started declaring her name. Normally in duels in this world, you did that after drawing your weapon, not before. I grinned and roared at her. Though it wasn't a very loud roar, the remaining windows vibrated from the force. Aria let out a yelp and fell backwards, her saber dropping from her limp fingers. It was a pretty comedic reaction from my perspective, but I could see why she was so terrified. Had I still been human, I'd have pissed my pants facing a werewolf. I snapped my jaws shut and sat on the lavish rug in front of her. There was no need to intimidate her any further. "That puny saber won't even be able to put a scratch on me. And even if you could somehow beat me, it's too late to save your city. Surrender." I really like this as well. Insert images just thrown into the file. Oh, it's so good. This is such nice art as well. It's so good for a fantasy world. Not heavy detail, but good enough. You can see exactly what's going on. I feel bad for this poor girl. She's probably a very, very good leader in her own way. She's probably done very good as Viceroy. It's just, yeah, probably not a fighter. Probably a sword that she never had to use in her life. The MC's inner thoughts. I know, it's so good. It's so fun. Kind of reminds me of Grimgar. Yeah, the style. You can, yeah. Like that kind of style, the fantasy look is really good. That's probably why I saw this cover and immediately knew this was the one for me. She's so pretty. She is. Veight's really badass looking as well. The werewolf form kind of scary. I love the art so far. Me too. I'm really liking the writing as well. Veight just seems so chill about everything while he's doing this. I didn't realize this was going to be an isekai story. I don't know if he exactly comes from our world, but he definitely comes from a more technologically advanced world, if nothing else. So this is good. Arya once more picked up her blade, but this time pointed it at herself. Pale lips trembling, she said, "Then I'll..." "Wait. Hold up." I hurriedly snatched the saber out of her hands. What, is she crazy? In my haste, I'd grabbed the sword by the blade. It wasn't sharp enough to cut through my tough hide, but it still hurt. Not as much as gripping a plastic ruler really tightly by the edges would. "What point is there in killing yourself? Think about this rationally." "Rationally?" Arya looked up at me with a dumbfounded expression on her face. It seemed she was too shocked to think straight. I sighed and looked her in the eyes. "Look, our army's already taken the city. We've tried our best not to kill any of the citizens, but I understand why you're scared with me so far." Wait, why you're scared? There's a full stop there. "With me so far?" "Yes, I understand." Arya nodded over and over like a terrified child. I nodded back and continued my explanation. "We do plan on ruling this city from now on. We have no intentions of killing you or turning you into our slaves." What? Is that really so surprising? Unable to comprehend what she'd just heard, Arya followed up with a question. Then, what on earth did you come here for?" I guess the humans have some misconceptions as to what we actually do. Well, I suppose I should explain. We don't want to slaughter. To be honest, we'd prefer you all to keep going on about your lives normally. And for that, we'll need a human leader. See where I'm going with this? You want me to continue being the Viceroy? That's right. Thank God she's an understanding person. We need your help to keep friction in the city to a minimum. So please just surrender and cooperate with the demon army. If there's any demands the humans have as well, we're willing to listen, so long as they're not unreasonable. This is such an odd direction for this conversation to go. I'm surprised she's listening to him so intently. I guess at this point she's just like hopeful for any way to survive, but man, that took a turn real quick. I waited patiently for Arya's response. Though she still appeared to have a few misgivings, the light had returned to her eyes. She sure did come to a decision quickly. If I find you've lied to me in any way, I'll rally the citizens to fight back with everything we have. Are you still sure you want to make that offer? That's fine by me. The Demon Lord personally gave me full authority over administration of this city. I nodded my consent, and Arya got to her feet. She held out her hand, and I immediately returned her saber back to her. She held it reverently for a few seconds before respectfully offering it back to me. I, Arya Lutz Eindorf, Viceroy of Runheit, formally surrendered to the Demon Lord's army. I humbly request that you have mercy on my men. I hereby accept your surrender. With that, the battle was officially over. Nice. We got to that a lot quicker than I thought we would. I thought this was going to be a long battle. They really destroyed that town immediately. It was not prepared. Events progressed rapidly after that. Arya collected her terrified servants and began giving out orders. Get me the messengers. Tell all units that they are to cease hostilities immediately. We have surrendered to the demon army. Crap. That reminds me. I need to let my mind know it's over too. I'm gonna start howling, but don't be scared. I'm just contacting my men. Arya's servants had looked like they were about to faint just from seeing me, so I was trying to be as considerate as possible. I turned to the window and howled as loudly as I could. Ow! God damn it. Ignore that. I can't howl today. Ow! Anything made of glass in the room shivered, as it should. That was a very commanding howl. All the servants screamed and fell on their backs. A few of them wet themselves. Oops, I guess that was my fault. Still, with that, my orders reached every quarter of the city. Coded within my roar was the message: Commander has been defeated. Gather. Seconds later, a series of howled replies reached my ears. On our way. Roger. None injured in our squad. The howls faded away after everyone finished their reports. The fighting, which had been going overwhelmingly in our favor, came to an end. I just hope those guys didn't kill too many people. Soon enough, all of the werewolves gathered at the plaza in front of the Viceroy's manor. Each and every one of the men and women under my command looked quite intimidating, and though they were under my command, they technically weren't my subordinates. It's been a while since I last went on a rampage. Were battles always this tiring? Oh wait, it's been a while since I last went on a rampage. Were battles always this tiring? My poor hips ache. A grey-haired werewolf walked up to me and grinned. It was Vod, the old geezer who lived in my neighborhood. In his human form, he looked like a kindly old man with white hair. It was probably good for you to get some exercise, old man. When you get to our age, you gotta keep fighting or you'll go senile. Mary, the old lady who ran the nearby grocery store, grinned at Vod. She was a kind woman who always threw in a few freebies when I stopped at her place. Oh, we're done already? Holding back tired me out more than if we'd just been allowed to cut loose. The werewolves I'd led for this operation were all my friends and neighbors, which is why they acted so friendly with me. Werewolves always acted in packs. Those who lived in the same town were all part of one pack. Whenever they had to fight, they'd fight together like this. That being said, werewolves were also demons, and there was only one thing demons respected: strength. Werewolves were no exception. Those who doubted my power and ability to lead started voicing their complaints. Hey, Veight, how come we're being so soft on these humans? A large werewolf with a striking crimson mane looked up at me. He was Nebert Garni, the younger of the Garni brothers. His elder brother Garbert strode forward and voiced his discontent as well. Did you forget how many of our ancestors were hunted down by human scum like these? We should slaughter the lot of them. I'd been friends with both of them since childhood, and I knew they were stronger than me. In general, werewolves with red manes were stronger than others. So much so that they'd been given exaggerated nicknames like Hunters of the Blood Moon and so on. That being said, they were definitely tough. Because they had such confidence in their skills, they were unhappy with the fact that they were taking orders from me. Oh well. As someone who used to be human, having to solve everything with violence is just a pain. But that's the only thing that'll get through to these two. I leapt out the second-story window and landed in front of the Garni's brothers. Got a problem with my orders? The two of them exchanged glances. They probably thought they could take me if they attacked together. As expected, they puffed out their chests and attempted to intimidate me. That's right. I don't like your half-assed attitude. I should be the leader of this pack. Both brothers were a head taller than me, and they certainly looked imposing. It was obvious they wanted to fight. The other werewolves could tell as well, and they backed away to make space. No one wanted to challenge me, it seemed. I glared at the two brothers. No one else wanted to challenge me, it seemed. That's important. I glared at the two brothers and said firmly, I'm the one in charge here. If you don't like my orders, beat me down and take my position by force. You sure you want to say that? The Garni brothers grinned. Among the werewolves here, they were the strongest. Not only did they have burly bodies, they had trained constantly. One of the two always took the championship at that annual wrestling contest we held every harvest festival. In a fair fight, I wouldn't be even able to beat one of them, let alone both. But even when we were kids, I'd never be able to beat either of them, no matter what I did. But right now, I was a vice commander of the Demon Lord's army, for one very good reason. I smiled. Let's see if you're still saying that after you hear this. I unleashed a howl completely different from the ones before. Shockwaves of sound blew through the streets, shaking trees and buildings. This time, all the windows in the Viceroy's manor shattered. There we go. The Garni brothers staggered backwards. The other werewolves crouched on the spot, rooted there by fear. A werewolf's roar had the power to instill fear into the hearts of men and beasts. Its effect was weakened on those who had a strong will to fight, and it was entirely ineffective against demons of the same class or higher. Naturally, this meant it was useless against the other werewolves. However, my roar was laced with mana, enhanced by the power of magic. I wasn't a warrior, but a mage. Vice commander of the Demon Lord's 3rd Regiment, Veight the Werewolf Mage. That was who I was.
Badass show. They're really throwing down. He's got magic. He's a magic werewolf.
Another amazing howl. Stop. Fine. I'm just going back. I'm running away. God damn it. The spell I'd use in this particular instance was called Soul Shaker. By manipulating the mana around me, I was able to turn my roar into something that could affect other demons as well. The spell's primary effect was actually to seal away the magic of any humans in the vicinity for a short period of time, while simultaneously improving the power of my allies' spells. It just also happened to possess the secondary effect of striking terror into the hearts of anyone who opposed me, regardless of how brave or determined they might be. Trying to break free from my spell with willpower was akin to resisting anesthetics with resolve. Naturally, the Garni brothers were unable to do a thing. Bro! God, they became dude bros. They really do be werewolves. In their current state, I could kill the 2 of them with ease. I slowly walked up to the pair of them and lightly tapped their stomachs with my fists. Seeing the 2 of them trembled, I grinned. Trust me now. I disabled my magic, and the brothers both sucked in deep breaths. Though they'd regained the ability to move, they no longer possessed the will to fight. Their ears drooped just like beaten dogs. Finally, the older of the Garni brothers opened his mouth. His fur, which was usually bristling with vitality, seemed oddly colorless. It was proof he'd submitted.
Yeah, I won't disobey you anymore. You're the boss.
That's right. I turned to the other werewolves with a smile. Our 3rd Regiment has captured the trading city of Brunheit. From now on, violence in the city is expressly forbidden, except in cases of self-defense. The werewolves lowered their heads in assent. I then began explaining our plan from here on out. Our objective is to transform this city into a forward base for the demon army's future operations in the area. In other words, harming the citizens of the city's infrastructure runs counter to our goals. Understand?
No, I don't get it, actually.
The younger of the Garni brothers replied. He wasn't looking for a fight anymore. He genuinely just didn't understand. While the Garni brothers were tough, they were also dumb as bricks. They always had been. I decided to simplify my explanation enough so even idiots like them could understand. Fuck, man, the shade. The himbos. And there's 2 of them. Yeah, somebody said himbro. Perfect. They're the himbros. They are just the chads of this story. Oh my god, it's so freaking perfect. God damn it. Okay, look. This city is like a tasty deer meant for the Demon Lord's army. So you fools better not make any mess of it and rip it to shreds before they get here. Anyone steps out of line, and I'll kill them.
Oh, I get it now.
This time the Garni brothers nodded their understanding. I gave them the wrong voices, man. It should have been good. It would have been good giving them like,
oh, I get it now. Yeah. Okay, bro. Yeah, bro.
I wasn't sure if they'd understood or not, but I'd have to settle with this for now. The older brother folded his arms and muttered. You think we'll be able to live together with the humans, though? Seems to me they're all ready to kill us in our sleep. He did have a point. The animosity coming from the inhabitants was palpable. Figuring out how to make things work is my job. In fact, I'm the only one capable of doing it, so you guys better listen to my orders.
You got it, boss.
At my glare, the 2 brothers nodded hurriedly. After confirming their obedience, I turned back to the other werewolves and continued my speech. Anyway, as far as meals go, you will be well fed as long as you're here. If you want to hunt, you're welcome to hunt as much as you like in the nearby forest. The only thing you're forbidden from doing is attacking humans. Are we clear? To be honest, it was kind of tough giving orders to my friends and neighbors, which was probably why my speech had gotten a little awkward at the end. Still, it seemed everyone was willing to cooperate.
No problem, kid. I'm fine with following your orders. Besides, it'll be good to get a rest before the next battle.
Since the elders had shown their support, the younger werewolves followed suit.
Man, I'm starving. Hey, Veight, when do we get to eat? And why are you starving anyway?
Wait.
And where are we staying anyway? You're not going to tell us to camp out, are you? Oh, shut up, you brats. I'll get that sorted out too, so stop bugging me. The werewolf squad had been understaffed, so we'd padded our numbers out with everyone from the elderly to kids barely old enough to fight. The only people still in our village were the very elderly, a few sick people, and kids too young to be useful on the battlefield. Oh, and their parents. Actually very respectful. We may have looked like a fearsome crew, and we definitely were pretty ferocious in a fight, but it's not like our unit was made up of veteran fighters or anything. The two kids who'd badgered me earlier were barely in their teens. This was a city of 3,000, while my werewolves numbered a mere 56. Even if I included the 200 canine corps waiting outside the city, I didn't have the manpower to fight back in the event of a revolt. Are we really gonna be alright? Even I wasn't sure I'd be able to maintain control. I actually really like this whole idea that, yeah, they're just like a family. They're just like a small community of werewolves that are like, yeah, this is going to be interesting. There's barely any of them compared to the humans. They just have to rule through fear, man. Puppies? You said they're puppies? I know, right? I may have captured Ruinheit in under an hour, but keeping it was going to take a lot more work. The biggest issue was the number of casualties. I hadn't expected it to be so high. There hadn't been any werewolf casualties, but the number of slain Ruinheit soldiers was staggering. Everyone had done their best to hold back, but even so, 70 men had died in attack, with over 100 more gravely injured. If we'd fought at full strength, it's possible we would have wiped out Ruinheit's entire garrison. I used my shoddy healing magic skills to heal as many of the soldiers as I could. My magic could only do as much as a hospital in my old world would have been able to. Considering the medical development in this world, that in itself was really fortunate. At a hospital here, there was a high chance you'd die from infection or poor quality medicine. The soldiers had it well off by comparison. I went to the last injured soldier and put my hand over his broken bones. I'd only dabbled in healing magic in order to properly learn strengthening magic, but I knew enough to deal with simple wounds like these. Shocked, the soldiers looked from my hand to my face as he felt the pain recede. That should do it. Any other injured? I transformed back into my human form. Oh, he was a werewolf all that time. I've been messing up. I'd swept my robe back. I'd maintained my wolf form while healing in case any of the soldiers tried to attack me. It appeared that had been a needless worry. Mages were the elites of this world. They were far more important than even doctors or lawyers were back in my old world. Even in a decently large city such as this one, there probably wasn't anyone able to match my magical skills. In general, demons tended to make better magicians than humans, which meant that to these soldiers, even my crappy healing magic must have seemed remarkable. Though their wounds had been healed, the soldiers still appeared tense, so I decided to reassure them a little. Few have the courage to stand and fight when face to face with a werewolf. Even fewer have come out to tussle with one alive. We may have been holding back, but that doesn't change the fact that you are hardened warriors, worthy of respect. I doubted they were happy to be praised after hearing we'd held back, but I needed to emphasize the difference in strength between us. This was just the best way I could think of doing it without also hurting their pride. Dealing with people sure is difficult. Your Viceroy, Iria, has promised to hold a service for the 70 men who fell in battle. They may have been my enemy, but they were truly brave soldiers. If anything, I'd say they were more unlucky than brave, seeing as they died even though we held back. Of course, no one would be happy to hear that. Better to make them into heroes. I bowed to the remaining soldiers and left the barracks. Man, that was awkward. Oh my god, the chill aura he has while dealing with this. There was a mountain of things I still needed to do. First, after agonizing over whether or not to let the canine corpse in, I ended up compromising by letting them camp right outside the castle gate. Canines were weak. In a fair fight, they'd lose even to the average farmer. If I let them into the city and the people decided to revolt, it'd be impossible to protect them. I didn't have enough werewolves to guard them all. It was smarter just to leave them outside for now. And since I was leaving them near the walls anyway, I ordered them to thoroughly investigate said walls. Canines were primarily silversmiths, and they were far more skilled craftsmen than werewolves. If there was anything strange about this city's walls, they'd discover it straight away. Words. Canines were light eaters, and they had brought their own supplies with them, so I didn't need to worry about feeding them for now. Feeding the werewolves, on the other hand, was going to be quite an ordeal. Most werewolves ate more than an Olympian athlete, including myself. Fortunately, there weren't too many of us, so I was able to convince the Viceroy to pay for our meals. As long as you kept them fed, you could keep werewolves docile.
For safety reasons, I split my squad into 2 groups and had them lodge in separate places. My squad was to stay in the Viceroy's manor, while another would stay with the canines to protect them. The problem was, I didn't know who to appoint as leader of the other squad. Both of the Garni brothers were out of the question. I needed to keep them under constant supervision, or who knew what kind of trouble they'd cause. They were idiots after all. Ideally, I'd ask one of the elders to do it, but once a werewolf returned to their human forms, they had a stamina of a normal human their age. The fighting this afternoon had been fierce, and I wanted to let them rest. As I was deliberating, a woman slightly older than me walked over. She was another of my neighbors, Fawn. She also happened to be my first love. Back when we were 5, I'd asked her to marry me, to which she said yes with a smile. Veight, would it be alright if I take charge of the second squad? That's fine by me, Fawn. Fawn? Whoops. I'd almost used the nickname I'd called her by when we were kids. Fawn snickered in response and nodded. We just have to guard the canine unit and keep watch over the gates, right? I've become pretty good with those guys, so just leave it to me. Come to think of it, she was a big fan of dogs. When we'd been marching, she'd spent most of her time cuddling with the canines. Plus, she was dependable and someone I could trust. Not only that, in terms of pure strength, she was stronger than me. I'd need magic to beat her. Oh god, this is so anime, I love it. She always won the girls' wrestling tournaments back at our village, and she'd be able to give even the Garni brothers a run for their money. In fact, she was the only person who intimidated them. Seeing as she wasn't lacking in qualifications, I wasted no time in appointing her the commander of the second squad. Alright, you've been promoted to vice captain. Here's a list of the members I was thinking of assigning to your squad. If you want to swap any of them out, I don't mind. Let's see here. Yep, this'll be just fine. Just leave the rest to me. Fawn winked, causing my heart to skip a beat. I kept my excitement off my face and said in a commander-like tone, I'll be counting on you, Fawn. You've got it, Sir Vice Commander. She bowed to me with a smile, took the list from my hands, and walked off. I wonder what she'd say if I asked her to marry me now. God. Oh, he's so down bad. God. Pathetic. Pathetic. Cute. This is more exhausting than I thought. I sighed as I looked out at the city, dyed orange by the dying light of the setting sun. I was sitting in one of the Viceroy's guest rooms, which I'd appropriated for myself. Should citizens decide to revolt, I didn't have the manpower to settle things peacefully. The only way to maintain my hold on the town would be to kill anyone who resisted. I really hope nothing happens. Just then, I heard a knock at my door. Enter. Ryun Heights Viceroy, Iria, walked into the room. As promised, I hadn't stripped her of a title. Not only was she a competent leader, she had the trust of her people. It would have been a waste to replace her. Now, the only problem was whether or not she'd cooperate with us as promised. At this point, I still couldn't be sure. One word from her would be all it took to incite the citizens to revolt. It was possible she'd try and gather her elite guards to try and assassinate me too. Of course, nothing she might try would actually pose a threat, but it would still mean I'd fail to occupy Ryun Heights peacefully. Iria watched me curiously and said, Is something wrong, Sir Veight? No, it's nothing. Anyway, what did you need, Lady Iria? Since we were both leaders of our respective camps, it was imperative that we treated each other with courtesy. Iria looked down apologetically and said, I've managed to suppress any discontent in the city. At present, I don't think the citizens will attempt to revolt or escape. I see. That's good to know. I'll probably have to restrict the freedom of the residents for a little bit while things settle down, but I aim to have this city running normally as fast as possible. For some reason, my words made Iria look even more apologetic. That shouldn't be a problem, however... Iria trailed off. She seemed to be picking her words very carefully. Whatever it was she wanted to say, she was having a hard time saying it. Is there something you need from me? If it's within my power to grant, I don't mind hearing out your request. Oh, no, that's not it. The thing is, Sir Veight... Her expression grew even more troubled. This was a good opportunity to show off how tolerant I could be to my conquered subjects. Don't worry, I promise not to resort to violence, no matter what it is you have to report. After seeing my serious expression, Iria finally decided to talk. The truth is, there's one complication with regards to the soldiers stationed here. There is?
I thought they'd surrendered quietly, but I guess that wasn't the case. According to Iria, the problem was that the city's garrison didn't actually belong to her. The soldiers stationed in Runeheight were actually under the direct command of the Meraldia Commonwealth, which Runeheight was a part of. In other words, only the Meraldian Senate could give orders to the men. Before the city-states of the region had coalesced into a single nation, they had often fought with each other. For this reason, when Meraldia had been formed, it had been decided that only the Senate had authority over the troops stationed in each city. Without the Senate's permission, no large-scale orders would be given. The Meraldia Commonwealth was comprised of 17 city-states of varying sizes. It lay due east of the Great Forest that the demons had made their home, so conflicts between them and the demons were common. In fact, at the start of the current war, the Demon Lord's army had its fans full dealing with subjugation army Meraldia had dispatched. Regardless, I could understand that Iria was dealing with a rather complicated situation. Just to make sure, I confirmed I had the facts straight. So what you're saying is, even if they've agreed to surrender, you don't have the authority to force them to cooperate with us? Precisely. All I can do is implore that they acquiesce. As far as I could tell, Iria wasn't lying. It turned out humans gave off a peculiar odor when they lied. Different words. One that a werewolf's sensitive nose could easily pick out. That's definitely a problem. I folded my arms and lapsed into thought. There's only 200 soldiers left, but I need them to maintain public order. If the city's garrison refuses to cooperate with us, then I'll have to ask my werewolves to patrol the streets instead. But there's not nearly enough of them, and they're not suited to this kind of work. Plus, if my men are busy keeping the peace, I'll only have my canine unit to fight the army Meraldia is undoubtedly going to send to recapture the city. There's no way I'll be able to win with just them. A normal demon would have attempted to threaten the soldiers or kill half of them to make an example out of anyone who resisted. But that wasn't my style. Rule through fear inevitably invited revolt. And maintaining just the right amount of fear so that people obeyed you, but not enough that they felt compelled to fight back, was far too much effort. The risk of pushing your populace over the edge was always present too. Besides, as a former human, I wanted to avoid killing humans outside of the battlefield. Seeing my troubled expression, Iria timidly asked, "You're not going to make an example out of the soldiers?" "Do you want me to?" I asked with a wry smile, and Iria firmly shook her head. No, not at all. I simply thought you would turn to force to resolve the issue. Forcibly imposing your will on others works for demons, but not for humans. I could understand the soldiers' concerns. If they chose to side with us, they would be tried as traitors if Meraldia successfully retook the city. After thinking about it for a while, I decided it would be better to give up on obtaining the soldiers' cooperation. I can see why it would be a difficult choice for them. In that case, as long as they're willing to disarm, I won't ask for anything more. Please let them know that. Understood. And thank you for being merciful. Iria breathed a sigh of relief upon learning that I wouldn't do anything horrific to the soldiers. Her business concluded, she turned to leave. When she reached the door, she hesitated for a few seconds before ultimately turning back to face me. What seems to be the matter? At my urging, Iria gathered her resolve and opened her mouth. If all you want is to maintain order, you could ask the Merchants Guild to patrol the streets instead. The guild? The various branch offices of the guild have always helped patrol the city and maintain the fire brigades. Too much crime would negatively impact business, so they have an incentive to keep the city safe. See, so they're basically like a neighborhood watch. I'd lived in a large city in my previous life, and I'd been raised in a werewolf community in my current, so such a possibility hadn't even occurred to me. Iria continued without waiting for my reply. The city's guild falls within my jurisdiction. They might not make for as effective patrols as armed guards would, but it wouldn't hurt to ask, I imagine. I mulled her suggestion over. Her proposal was certainly beneficial for me, but it didn't serve her interests in any way. In fact, it would make her indebted to the Merchants Guild. I needed to know why she was doing this before accepting. Why would you go so far to help me? Her response wasn't one I was expecting. Because I'm grateful to you, Sir Veight.
You are? The last thing I had expected was for her to be thanking her conquerors. Aria's expression softened and she continued. During the battle, you and your men didn't attack anyone other than the soldiers. Even though with your strength, you could have easily started slaughtering the citizens. I suppose that's true. I could have, but there really wouldn't have been any point to it. Nor was it really a reason to be thanking me. However, it seemed Aria thought differently. She bowed her head and said, I hope you will continue showing such mercy to the people of my city. If cooperating with you will ensure that, then I'll offer up everything I can. Oh god, the wording. Oh god. So if it's to protect her city, she's willing to negotiate with the demon army, huh? Even if Yunhait did get retaken by Maraldia's forces, they wouldn't be able to try the citizens as traitors since they had been acting under the Viceroy's orders. It seemed this cross-dressing woman was no mere coward nor a simple pushover. She let herself get flustered a little too easily, but she was otherwise a hardened realist who was well suited to her post. Now that I knew where she was coming from, there was no reason not to accept her aid. Thank you. I promise to repay this debt someday, so I'd like you to use your authority to mobilize the Merchants Guild. Understood. Aria smiled in relief. It was a rather beautiful smile. Thanks to Aria's assistance, I was able to solve all of my most pressing issues and get a good night's sleep. I did post a watch just in case, but the city remained quiet throughout the night. By the next morning, life in Yunhait had already returned to a relative degree of normalcy.
Last night, we caught some thieves who were hoping to go unnoticed during the confusion of the occupation. Operation? Occupation.
One of my werewolves came to report that to me first thing this morning. He was looking at me with something akin to hero worship. My standoff with the Garni brothers yesterday must have left an impression.
What should we do about them, sir? Execute them as a warning to others?
Had he been in his wolf form, I don't doubt that his tail would be wagging back and forth right now. He looked just like a puppy, begging its master to play with him. However, execution was a little extreme. I shook my head. We're soldiers, not police.
Police?
He tilted his head in confusion, so I explained it in simpler terms. Basically, let the humans in charge of keeping order handle it. They'll be punished according to the laws of the city. Speaking of which, what do Yunhait's laws say the punishment for stealing is? I turned to the human secretary sitting next to me, and she hastened to reply. In the case of theft or property damage, reimbursement equal to the value of the stolen or destroyed good must be paid. In the event that reimbursement cannot be made, the criminal is sentenced to forced labor until they've repaid twice the value of the lost goods.
Oh man, that's kind of messed up. I mean, I kind of get that, but at the same time, if you don't have the money to pay for what you stole, then you pay for twice of it with your labor? I mean, I guess that's like an interest thing, but at the same time, God, that really punishes the poor more than the rich. That's fucked up, but okay.
There you go. Send them to work in the fields until they've paid off their debts. Why farm work? Because we've got 256 new permanent residents here, and they need to be fed. Naturally, I was referring to us. I could get by requisitioning supplies from the citizens, but if I kept doing it for too long, they'd begin to resent us. Nothing nurtures a grudge like an empty stomach. As the day progressed, plenty of other people showed up with minor issues that needed resolving.
The merchants who ended up trapped here because of the fighting are requesting that we let them leave the city so they can resume their journeys.
According to the canine unit, the sewer system that runs beneath the castle walls is in dire need of repair.
Barney brothers are asking for more food.
I was stuck taking care of one problem after another. Tell them that no one is allowed out of the city at present. As for their goods, buy all of their stock at a premium and tell them to stay at an inn for now, I replied at once. The problem is, how am I going to pay for all of that? I guess I have no choice but to ask Iria. I just keep putting myself further in her debt.
Oh, it begins.
It'll be dangerous if we lose the sewage problem alone, so tell the canine unit to start repairs immediately. Make sure you post guards around the area as well. It's possible enemies might try and sneak in through there. Unfortunately, the 200-strong canine unit wasn't large enough to handle this project on their own. Since they worked in shifts, only 60 of them were active at any point in time. Finding manpower to assist them would be easy, though. And as for the Garni brothers, give them more work and tell them to buy extra food with it. After food with the money they earn. They want to eat, they better make themselves useful. It was almost noon and I hadn't even had breakfast yet. Now was probably a good time to take a break and get some food. I rose to my feet and stretched my limbs. Phew. Good work. A cute, childish voice answered me. Surprised, I turned around to see a young girl sporting a pointed hat and a cape. I instantly dropped to one knee and bowed. I'm gladdened by your return, Commander Gomaviroa. Gomaviroa? I'm gladdened by your return, Commander Gomaviroa. How many times must I tell you, call me Gomo? Commander of the Demon Lord's 3rd Regiment, Gomaviroa, the great sage, puffed out her cheeks unhappily. She looked just like a child. However, this childlike girl was the strongest mage in the Demon Lord's army, and though she was human, she was one of the Demon Lord's closest aides. She also happened to be my magic teacher. I could never. At least allow me to call you Master. Why must you insist on being so stubborn? Gomaviroa sighed. But in the next second, her annoyance vanished and she smiled. No matter. You did well capturing Yunhai as swiftly as you did. It was all my thanks to you, Master. By the way, if my master had arrived, that would mean a personal squad of elites would be here as well. I was banking on them to help with managing the city. Gomaviroa's smile grew wider as I trailed off. I see my bone spears are in high demand. Fucking bone spears. Fear not, I have sent my 2,000 men to rendezvous with the Canine Squad. One step ahead as always, I see. The title Bone Spears is pretty wild. Also, hello you god, it's lovely to have you here. Hello Finana. We are currently reading a light novel by the name of Der Werwolf, Annals of Veight. It's an isekai one where a human from our world has become a demon mage werewolf who is currently governing a human city and doing his best to keep from things being murdered. It's very interesting and very fun so far. I'm having a lot of fun getting into this and figuring out exactly what's going to happen with this storyline. This has been great. So it's lovely to have you here, and I hope you enjoy the rest. We'll be finishing pretty soon. Okay. My master's specialty was necromancy. The skeleton warriors she raised were all skilled warriors who moved with precision. If we had her 2,000 bone spears, we would be able to hold out against human armies several times larger. Not only that, since they were undead, they didn't require food or rest. My master heaved another sigh. I certainly hope you aren't thinking of something like undead soldiers don't need food, so I don't have to worry about upkeep if I have them. Well... Have you no consideration for the amount of effort it takes to create them? Each and every one of my soldiers is crafted with love and care. Says the woman who makes hundreds every day. Did you say something? No, not at all. While my master was an accomplished mage, she wasn't a very skilled strategist. So I wasn't surprising that she didn't understand my hardships. If food is your concern, could you not just requisition supplies from the citizenry? Even humans do it to each other. I'd rather not if I can help it. I don't want the people to resent us. You are certainly asking for a lot, wanting the people you conquered not to resent you, she said with a chuckle. When my master was human, her thought process was just like a demon's. If she felt like it, she could obliterate the Viceroy's manor with a snap of her fingers. In fact, she could turn the entire city to ash in less than a day without a second thought. It was hard to say whether she really was human anymore. That being said, she still remembered what it felt like to be human, and she was part of the more moderate faction within the Demon Lord's camp. Oh, I suppose it was because of your considerate personality that I took you on as a disciple in the first place. I would never teach my secrets to one who thirsts for blood. Glad to hear it. I still clearly remember the conversation we had the first day I met her. You wish to become a magician? Why would a werewolf turn to magic? I'm not really that strong, but I want to be. For what purpose? I want to protect everyone in the village. Also, I kind of want the other kids to respect me more. You're one honest kid. Very well. I suppose we can at least find out whether or not you have an aptitude to use magic. Really? Thank you so much. But know that if you lack the talent, you will have no choice but to... Are you even listening to me? Goma Varroa smiled wryly at me. She must have been thinking back to the same conversation.
I think we might have to stop here. Oh no. Oh, perfect. That'll do. I'll get to there. Perfect.
I knew it was theoretically possible for werewolves to possess the necessary talent, but I never thought you would come so far. Shame you have no affinity for necromancy whatsoever. Well, I am a werewolf. I was most skilled in body strengthening magic, mostly because I could use magic that affected living creatures directly. If I were to explain it in RPG terms, I was basically a support buffer class. And though I'd originally taken it up as just a hobby, I'd become somewhat proficient in healing magic as well. Thanks to my magical abilities, I'd become one of the strongest werewolves around. And since werewolves were one of the stronger demon races in terms of overall rankings, I was pretty high up there. My career had ended up stalling at mere vice commander though. By the way, Maester, what are you doing here? I thought you were staying in the castle. When I talked to her at the Demon Lord's castle, she had said she would remain there. The 2nd and 3rd regiments had planned on invading multiple cities simultaneously, and so the commanders had planned to remain behind with the reserves and dispatch them as the situation developed. Still smiling, Goma Varroa said, I stayed behind to support the army most in need of assistance. It seemed to me that would be yours, would it not? All of my other disciples were provided with ample soldiers, so they have no need of my help. I guess that's true. So we really did spread our forces too thin. Still, under my command, we'd managed to capture our assigned city. I puffed my chest out proudly. Although, I did manage to capture my city with the smallest squad out of everyone. With 0 casualties too. Pretty impressive, wouldn't you say? I will admit you did well in utilizing your werewolf's unique traits to their maximum. But I also have no doubt you spent the night cowering in fear of a revolt. How did you know? I know your personality in and out, boy. With a smile, she floated into the air and alighted on my shoulder. Is there anyone you can delegate leadership to? Yes. I've already put Fawn in charge of the unit of the castle gates, so that's one burden off my shoulders. Did you meet her on your way in? Ah, that girl you fancy. How do you know that? I know your tastes in and out, too. She grinned mischievously. God, this feels so familiar. I hate this. Teasing aside, I would like to borrow you for a moment. We need to report to the Demon Lord. You want me to go too? I found it strange that the Demon Lord would want to listen to a report from a mere vice commander. Normally it was the commander's job to send reports to him. However, Goma Varroa shook her head and said, The Demon Lord has expressed that he wished to hear the particulars from the general who led the operation. Stop asking questions and follow me. My master chanted a spell in a sing-song voice. A second later, my vision grew blurry, and the space around me warped. Okay, so now we know exactly who this is. Let's scroll all the way back up to the beginning. So this is where we're going to end this there. It's got to be her. It's got to be her. That's his master. Oh, man. Am I late? Oh, we just ended, so yeah. Are we building up to a harem? I don't think so, but well, I don't really mind. I'm going to continue reading. This is interesting. This character is very smart. He's very intelligent. Yeah, that's definitely her. She's even got like the necromancy kind of thing, a little tiny skull in her thing, the giant witch's hat. Oh my god, she's adorable. And that must be Idea. So yeah, that's our 2 main characters. This must be yeah, that's the werewolf woman he's in love with. That's the Onei-chan. Is the himbos? Okay. The canine unit is so adorable. Oh wait, I just realized I'm not sharing my thing, my mouse cursor. You can see who I mean. You can see the older man. You can see some of the children werewolves. You can see his Onei-chan werewolf on the far right. I don't know who's on the far left yet. And yeah, the himbo brothers in the top left. The canine unit is so adorable. I didn't expect them to look like that. Well, they were terrifying. We all saw where that cursor went. Oh, you can see the cursor. You can. Oh, you couldn't earlier. That's interesting. You can see it now. Yeah, they went here. I don't care. I'll admit it. I saw her. I was like, that's an Onei-chan werewolf. This is also an Onei-chan, but I don't think she's in the story yet. She's dressed like a werewolf. So yeah, this is probably the one he's in love with. Adorable canine puppy. Older man. Probably the younger one. Not sure who he is. I don't think he's been in it yet. Annals of Veight. His master. I forget her. The name is hard to read.
I had to look up the Japanese pronunciation of Veight's name to make sure it was Veight rather than Veight. The Himbros look hilarious. Oh my god, the beards. Yeah, I could have given them better voices. This was really fun though. I'm glad we got to read that. I wish they like showed an image of the characters every time they got introduced. I would have been able to give them better voices as we went. Damn, she's fine though. Look at that canine. Ugh. Love her. Love all of them. Great. And yeah, the interactions between Veight and his master, hilarious. She is very interesting. Like, she seems to be ready to give her life for Veight already, just for the fact that even though they've been taken over, they're allowed to survive. I bet she'll have some kind of interesting backstory that makes her more respected to any court in 4K. But interesting backstory when it comes to why she's able to like hang out with demons so chill. This is really cute, Fu-chan. I know, I've never heard of this before. I'm so glad they let me read this. They gave me a choice of a bunch of ones to try, and I was like, werewolf? Governing a human city? Trying not to get anyone killed? Let's freaking go. Purple lady? Yeah, purple lady looks badass too. I feel like she's probably a demon too. Yeah. She's got like the huge fingernails, the tattoos. I feel like she's a demon just from a different group, not a werewolf. It's gonna be interesting discovering her later. But yeah, this goes on for several volumes. As I said, if you use, and it's down in the description as well, you can click on the link to BookWalker's website. Thankfully, we are sponsored by BookWalker, who was lovely enough to let us do this. Let us actually get to read an entire volume. Oh man, I'm sorry we didn't even finish. Are there chapters to this? Okay, it's basically all chapter 1, so yeah, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. That's fine then. We got like 34 pages in out of, I think, like 200, so we did what we could. We had fun with it. But yeah, you can use my code, Fulgur, all in lowercase characters to get 600 yen off your first purchase. So you can either continue reading this story, or you can just put that towards any other purchase in BookWalker's library. And most importantly, now I get to actually talk about this. It is BookWalker's 7th year anniversary. And for this anniversary, they have been doing a little surprise, which is going to end on October the 20th, PT time. So you've only got a little while left. But what you get, if you want to buy anything now, you can get volumes 1 to 3 of Summer 2022 anime titles with 50% coins back, which is huge. The ones that are this anime season's anime pickups include Black Summoner, Classroom of the Elite, the manga and the light novel of Black Summoner, the Overlord light novel, Made in Abyss, My Stepmother's Daughter is My Ex, Uncle from Another World, Hoshino Samidare, Classroom of the Elite, The Devil is a Part-Timer, light novel again, I love me some light novels, Rent a Girlfriend, The Maid I Hired Recently is Mysterious, The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting, which I loved, the manga of Overlord, Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, light novel again, and manga, When Will Ayumi Make His Move, Nights with the Cat, Couple of Cuckoos, Shadow's House, Devil is a Part-Timer, Orient, Tokyo Mew Mew, and Phantom of the Idol. There's actually quite a few of these that I've watched this anime season. Obviously, I like Overlord. I never actually... I only watched the first 2 seasons. I have 2 seasons of the anime to catch up on, but I'm planning on reading the light novel, especially since the volumes of the light novel have such nice releases. This artwork that we have is so gorgeous, so I can't wait to read the light novel of Overlord. I used to watch Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon. I watched the first season of Classroom of the Elite, watched Made in Abyss. I watched a little bit of Uncle from Another World this season, so there's a lot of good things to choose from. With any of these, you get... Here's me talking throughout this and realizing I didn't get that out of the way. I was showing off the different... They're all here. They're all here. I was showing off the different titles with their images and everything. I'm such an idiot. I'm so bad at this. But yeah, these are all the ones that you get 50% coin back on. So if you buy any of these, you also get 50% money back as coins, which you can use of equal value for your next purchase. So if you want to do big purchases on any of these, like multiple volumes, you can get loads back. Obviously, it's only volumes 1 to 3 of any of these. Okay. Sorry. I can use my brain. All other titles released by the end of September 14th, 2022 are also offered with 30% coin back just in general.
And you can get 50% off volumes 1 to 3 of lots of J-Novel Club series for the 6th year anniversary of J-Novel Club. So be sure to check out all of those. And very soon, BookWalker is going to be releasing 3 exclusive short stories. So make sure you follow them on Twitter and at the website to see what's coming soon. They're going to have 3 new exclusive series to show to us. So that is very exciting as well. Let's go. That's a list of all the things that are going to happen. It ends on October the 20th. So if you want to take advantage of any of these offers, be sure to grab them now. And as I said, down in the link, down in the description of this video, I have a link both to BookWalker and a way to use my coupon code. If you click the link, it takes you to my page, which will tell you how to use my coupon code to get 600 yen off of whatever you buy. That's about it. Other than that, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to BookWalker. This was a sponsorship that I was looking forward to for ages. I mean, I've kind of explained it, but if I go back to like the list of all of their works, which all have sales going on right now, there are so many in here, even outside of the ones that you get 50% coin back, that I'm very interested in. Mushoku Tensei, definitely going to be picking up. Dare Werewolf, I want to continue. Last Room of the Elite, I was kind of interested in. Sentiments of a Bookworm, I've heard great things about. Is it wrong to pick up girls? Yeah, Boffery. Failure Frame, I've heard good things about. I know nothing about, but it keeps showing up around. Overlord, like I said. And where is it? My beauty. Grimgar Fancy of Ash, which I finally have an excuse to grab. There's finally sales and coins back that I can use to grab as much Grimgar Fancy of Ash as I want. And yeah, we'll be diving into Dare Werewolf and seeing how that goes. Maybe one of them will be coming up in our Archivist book club in the future. We shall see. So yeah, be sure to visit BookWalker. Use coupon code Fulgur. The link is on the description. Thank you so much to BookWalker. I'm so glad they've had 7 amazing years. I hope they continue to have an amazing future. And congratulations to J-Novel Club as well. This was a fantastic opportunity. Ever since I debuted, I've been hoping to be able to read light novels, and this was my first chance of that. Hopefully we'll get more chances in the future. I loved that so much. I'm not sure if you guys enjoyed it, but story time for me, it's just an excuse to be having fun, doing silly voices, reading things that I love. So if I get to do that more in the future, I will jump at the chance. Thank you all so much for joining me. Sorry that there were a few moments that I gave voices very badly, and I can't werewolf howl for others to save my life. But you know what? That's how we're going to end this stream. I'm going to get revenge. I'm going to do one more werewolf howl on the way out. So thank you all for joining me today. Tomorrow I've got 2 streams to look forward to. Definitely click the link. Check out everything that BookWalker has to offer. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you use the 600 yen code. Like I said, you can get the first volume, entire volume of Dare Werewolf. Get way ahead of what we read for essentially free with that code. Have a wonderful evening. Do not be led astray, my confidants. And I will catch you guys next time. Ow! Still pretty bad, but I tried. I put my whole cybersea into that. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you again to BookWalker for sponsoring that. Have a wonderful evening. Do not be led astray, my confidants. I am going to raid someone random on the way out. Goodbye! Thank you again, everyone, for joining me and making this so awesome. I saw so many people tweeting out how to use my code and how to use it well, so thank you so much. And on the way out, we're going to be raiding Aya, who's doing a hand cam stream. Possibly a thigh cam stream? It's going to be interesting. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Goodbye.